thanks for joining this afternoon. We are just to introduce what we do. Um, uh, we are launching this channel, and this is the inaugural interview of literature work. Our channel name is Literati, which is the literature channel, and we are looking at some of the works that some of the great works that has happened, but hasn't got the visibility. And we hope that such conversations will help to reach to a wider audience, because some of the work that you have done, for example, Maritime Heritage of India, is a August work, and that happened 2-3 years ago, and I personally have great experience being part of it. So I thought we will visit that in retrospective, and happy to invite you for this conversation.
Hi, good day to you too, and to all the viewers. It's great privilege as well for me to actually walk down the memory lane, because you were also part of the project. So hopefully, let's give them a very informative session, and to share our experiences that we went through while we did this project.
Right. Thanks, Anand. So why don't you start by telling about Happy Labs? In terms of how did you conceive, and how you then move forward towards this project.
All right. So my name is Anand. I'm Jey Anand. I'm part of this company called as Happy Labs. It's a brand consulting company. We have been doing this part of brand consulting ever since college, second year. We started off this company back then, and slowly and steadily we've been consulting for various projects, multiple companies, and eventually we landed up doing the project with the Navy. And essentially, it was just basic design work for them that they required for their events. We designed their T-shirts, and these are the projects that we were doing. And eventually, they had something big in mind. We do plenty of work for corporates, and that includes brochures and stuff. It was an evolution of kind when we started to do work. All of us weren't professionally trained, but we don't have a professional degree with regards to any of this, but we all learned. We taught ourselves, and we're pretty good with what we do because of continuous hard work in every department that we were trying to excel in. So eventually, what happened was the Navy saw through a couple of work of ours, and they said we needed a coffee table book for the Indian Naval Academy. So that was one of the projects that we did. It happened in the year 2015. So once that book was released, it caught the attention of a lot of people up in the hierarchy. So the Chief of Naval Staff, the then Chief of Naval Staff, called Admiral Dhawan, took notice, and he specially called for us and said, would you be interested to take up this project? Unlike just Indian Naval Academy coffee table book, this one actually is kind of epic in the sense of the nature of the project, the scope of the project, and it includes tons of research. So, and I love challenges. It's not only me, it's my team as well. We love challenges, and I was, before you even finished, I was like, sir, so, but there was a lot of processes. It wasn't me alone. I had a lot of people competing with me. They had to present their case, and the whole process of finalizing was pretty complicated as well, because there were a lot more experts in the domain that I later went and met, who also wanted to be part of the project. But eventually they gave me the project because of a few reasons, I guess. I was very enthusiastic. I was very eager to work the way that the Navy did not expect. I was showing total involvement. That's because of the nature of work I do with every client of mine. I get totally involved. It was not just a book project for me, it was the book project for me. So that's how the initial phase of Maritime Heritage got kicked off.
Tell me more about the concept itself. a heritage is a long-term legacy. And why did Navy choose that topic, and how did the concept mature into a book form?
All right. So the brief that they gave me did vary at multiple points, but I had to understand on a multiple standpoints as well. So I'll give you one standpoint. Probably that would make sense. The Chinese were pretty dominant trading partners since ancient times as well. The reason behind the book is what I'm trying to explain. And the reason behind this is just one standpoint that I'm putting forward. So the Chinese essentially are not really happy about the Indian Ocean being called the Indian Ocean, because that's the only ocean that is named after a country. Which means, though we don't own the whole of the Indian Ocean, the name gives us the right. The belief of the name itself is very powerful. So the Chinese wanted to call it something else, the Asiatic Ocean maybe. So they've been propagating this for quite some time, and they all were citing towards China being the center of trade in ancient times as well. So they're saying, why is India getting that much attention? They kept putting this point across, saying that there's a Silk Road. That's not the Chinese road, it's a Silk Road. And we have something called as a cotton route. Again, we didn't call it the Indian cotton route, we just called it the cotton route. But they all said they all were going towards China, or it was centered around China. So they were completely against this concept or notion of this being continued to be called as the Indian Ocean, which basically proclaims the dominance of our country over this area. But that's why one of the reasons, I think the political reason maybe, or the overall, the grander reason maybe, to put across a book, an official book from the Navy, saying that from ancient times, India has been the center as well. We're not saying we are the only center, but we are saying we claim the right to call this area as the Indian Ocean region. So
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very powerful message that that goes out if Navy itself puts out a book. Rarely do we see. I mean, there are many literary contributions from Navy. Not many people know that, but literary contributions from Navy is also something that you should talk about, because you visited the Naval Museum also in the process, right?
So this journey actually took me on a travel course of almost 7,500 kilometers. I traveled throughout the coastline, documenting, collecting stories, collecting books, collecting data, visiting naval museums as well as normal museums, sitting and discussing with the native folklore of people in the sea coast. It was a brilliant journey. It was a beautiful journey for me. It was long and tedious and hard as well, but I was able to gather enough data, gather enough books as well. There were enough of literature written by people like Arnachalam, written by even Australian authors who are only specific about the Indian Ocean region. So I was able to meet them in person as well. So this is something that was very, very useful for me to come about then. Just gathering information, enough information, or raw data per se. Then the second phase did happen, wherein I needed more writers to analyze, put things together, curate a very interesting topic-oriented book. That it's not easy putting 3,500 years of maritime heritage and folklore basically into one book, that too, which is just of 200 odd pages. So it was next to impossible to do that. So I needed the help of more people, and I reached out to a lot more writers that I know. I reached out online to find out, and again, there was a shortlisting process that we went through, because there were a couple of things that hopefully I've answered your question. I'm just moving on to a very critical part. on how this book happened and why we were able to do the project. It's not just me traveling and collecting the data, but it's also because of the contributors in the form of content writing, uh, which happened with various writers who were part of the project. The Navy were adamant. They said, we want to see those writers, we want to see their credibility. So one among them was you. We collected data from you, we collected samples from everyone, and almost out of 112, I think 8 were shortlisted. And a lot of people were overqualified in the sense they wanted to do this project all by themselves, but because of the short deadline, it wasn't possible. They were asking us to push the deadline, but we had a target from the naval chief. He wanted to launch it in February of 2018, which is International Fleet Review. Sorry, February 2017, when International Fleet Review was happening in Visakhapatnam. So, I think I assembled everyone. I made sure everybody was present, interacting with the naval staff there. The deputy commandant there was the key person who actually helped us in a lot more ways in providing accommodation, in providing food, in arranging logistics. And it was in his leadership, basically, the book went through. But the people who came down was able to sacrifice almost 15-20 days of their life to analyze what is the exact requirement. And I'm pretty sure you would enjoy, you did enjoy the place.
Absolutely,
it wasn't in the city. It was an obscure location in a place called Elimala on the Western Ghats in Kerala. And this was inside the Naval Academy, which is 8 kilometers wide, and it was absolutely obscure. I think I won't be there.
Gorgeous place. We had a seashore nearby. We could go for a jog or cycling. We have done that together, and no internet, so we had to only rely on the books, right? Remember? So you said, if internet was there, then we wouldn't be needed. You wouldn't have gone through the selection process. So we had piles of books. We had some 3-4 whiteboards in 3-4 rooms. We occupied a complete guest house, and it was fun. Actually, we went through some real history there.
Yep, lot more arguments on how the topics should be written. The naval people not agreeing to anything that we say, and we weren't able to see what they were trying to say.
Yeah, you used to disappear and come back one day happy, one day very frustrated, one day down, and somehow we have to figure it out from there how to change. A lot of times we rewrote a lot of paragraphs and pages.
Eventually, how it ended was the Navy. I wasn't able to convince the Navy right away. But one important fact that came through was I asked them, "Who is this book written for?" So they said, "Is it for the naval people to understand naval history, or is it for common people to understand?" So this question went all to naval staff, to Western Command, then to the Ministry of Defense, and then they said, no, this book is only for common people to read. And then when it came down, the whole ball game changed. I said, then sir, please let it be our cup of tea here. Let we drive the whole thing, and we were able to push through the rest of the book. I'm pretty sure otherwise the book wouldn't have come out the way it did, or it wouldn't have come out on time because of this to and fro with the Navy. But yeah, it was quite interesting to understand their perspective, their thought process, and what is their requirement as well when we wrote the book.
How was it working with the Navy? That's interesting, because Navy has a very established chain of command, and they have very strict do's and don'ts, and they have historians themselves, and then there were editors. There are people who would say no for any fickle thing which we didn't feel was important, and what they felt was very important, like that. Some of your experiences there.
I'm pretty sure you'll remember this as well. They didn't prefer the term the chola, and we were like, it's always the chola. They were like, no, don't put the, just put chola. I'm like, no sir, it's the chola. That's how we represent, or we say and even these small things, they were very particular. Uh, these were the things. The Navy had their own tone or their own way, and we have our own tone and our own way. It was actually two immovable forces trying to interact, but the Navy, of course, are the bigger force. But since we were a little bit creative, we were able to cut through them like water and get stuff done. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, the
Cutting Navy through water is a special skill, Anand, and I should congratulate you for that.
time is what I would say. It did take a lot of effort, but it was something that helped the project to to take shape in a very unique manner. It wasn't just our thoughts, it wasn't just Navy's thoughts, it was a culmination of both. And that's what made this book really special. For anyone who reads it, they would understand this part as well. The emphasis was.
And the great part is you made the book free. You know, the book is downloadable both in Hindi and English versions.
So,
talk about the post-production. Talk about the post-production, the photography, the editing, the visuals, the page alignments and printing.
I'll give you a small rundown of all that you've inquired. So it did take a lot of effort, as I was saying, just making the Navy understand the content. I'm so sorry. It's my Labrador here, which has been bugging me as well all this while.
Right.
So this is my pet dog. Sorry for the interruption. He's a very good dog. He will go now.
What's his name?
His name is Rowdy.
Hi.
Hi, Rowdy. Say bye-bye. I'll talk to you later. All right. So sorry about that. The Navy wanted this book addressing a few vital points. So that was always there. So that's where the conflict of interest and the way we write content was there. But once that was settled, we compiled all this into 8 chapters. And with my initial bouquet of traveling all throughout India, I was able to identify a certain places that needs to be photographed. For example, we wanted photographs of this particular place in Myanmar, where there was some significant naval history and heritage happening there. We wanted certain photos from New Zealand. So the Navy had to, I cannot go into all these places. There was a severe budget constraint beyond all of this. I wasn't working on, a free flow of finances for this. So there was a lot more constraints. The book needed to be of a particular size. So it's easier for the person who's going to release to hold it. It has to be of a certain size so that the title is visible. There were a lot more factors that were playing in. So we had to design it and deliver it on time. The photographs, of course, I need to take photographs of all these vital places that are being noted in the book. Because close to 90% of whatever research we did actually didn't make it. It was that you remember the first draft that we did? We wrote for almost 650 pages. All the 8 writers, that had to be. And when we mean condensed, we had to scrupulously move away a few controversial topics, something that needn't be there at this point or something that wasn't important. And I didn't want anybody else deciding what should be there and what should not be there as well. What is important, naval heritage or maritime heritage of India. So it was actually a battle towards the end. And then we were able to shortlist, okay, these are the topics. So one of the most important places of maritime significance was Lothal and Dholavira, which is there in Gujarat. So we had to take an aerial shoot. And because a few years back, the drones did not have, even today, they don't have really photo printing quality resolution. We had to take a helicopter. The Navy had to hire a sortie which flew over, and we had to take pictures of, a lot of lighthouses, had to take pictures of these naval fort and fortresses which are there peppered around the coastline, from Tarangabadi in Tamil Nadu to forts in Goa, to of course Dholavira and Lothal, 2 places in Bay of Bengal. So it was a whirlwind tour that we had to do. So the photography team was also something I had to put together, because it wasn't just one photo shoot team. It was a team of 6 people who contributed eventually, and they were all sent in different directions. I took up one particular coastline, Navy officer took another coastline, and the coordination was impeccable. Of course, it's Navy. We were able to get most of the things done. Few we had issues because of probably lighting or because of climate, and it wasn't a smooth sailing, which I would say, but we were able to pull it off for a project of this magnitude and scale. We were able to do a quite decent job within the time frame provided and the cost allocated. So that was something critical. And of course, then came the rewriting bit. I think that's when most of my writers lost it, because I had to go back to them and say, okay, we have shortlisted. The Navy has said this is what it is, and I want you guys to rewrite. And I'm pretty sure even you were like, hey, dude, I'm done with this book. Rewrite it from start, because when you're written for 120 pages and I'm just put 30 pages, I think you wrote chapter 1 and chapter 2, as far as I remember.
Right. I did.
And you were like, where is the rest? What happened to the rest? And it was basically the Navy and me sitting together and saying, okay, this part, okay, let's move it away. So we even had thoughts of doing Maritime Heritage 2 and Maritime Heritage 3 because of the amount of data that we collected. So,
yeah, talk about the book launch,
Printing, I'm so sorry. The final bit was printing. Again, the printer we selected one of the best in Asia, and they also did a pretty decent job. Not decent, they did a job, because the printing happened just a week ahead of the whole event. They were able to deliver it on. It has to go to Delhi, and then it came back to the location as well. The whole lot. So they were okay with it because of the person who was about to launch. Because when we started this project, we did not know who was launching this project. It's only in the middle of the project that we got an understanding of how important this project is going to be.
Right. So, so that was a tough and tremendous experience.
Yes. The reason why it was dragged in the last week was this. All of a sudden, when the person who's going to launch the book was decided, I think you can give the name, or shall I give the name? It was Prime Minister Modi himself. They decided that this book should be in Hindi also.
Oh.
So then it was a mad scramble. I was like, okay, I am from Tamil Nadu. I don't know Hindi. I've never learned Hindi. I can't even read, or I can understand a bit of Hindi, enough Hindi to travel around, but I can never ever understand or type Hindi, or my whole team wouldn't be able to contribute. So that's when I requested the Navy officers, the most literate of the literate Navy officers who were good with Hindi, to come. They came down all the way to Coimbatore. They stayed with me for another 10 days. They were instrumental in translating all the English text in Hindi. And not only that, they had to be vetted as well. They had to be proofread as well. And it was again a run against the time to get all of this sorted. That's one of the reasons why the book was just printed a week ahead, though we had a month's time going through.
Talk about the book launch. How did it happen, and how was the fleet review, and what happened there, the launch?
So I was every month I was supposed to visit Delhi Ministry of Defense, and I was there at Chief of Naval Staff's office. We used to have a lot of officers sitting and discussing how the book should be, everyone putting their point across, which was crazy, I tell you. Because each and every time I went there was some officer giving a different viewpoint, or trying to put across his thought process. And I thought it was like, this book is so important to them that all these officers are spending so much time, which put a lot of pressure on my shoulder to deliver the right product. But this is what happened. It was pretty interesting because everybody used to, I was called as Young Anand there because I was the youngest person in that room. So everybody say Young Anand will tell us something creative today. So that it was actually in a very poor spirit, I would say, that somebody was trying to make fun of me. And I was like, yeah, Anand, please give us something creative, like how to do the launch. So I kept looking at them and I was like, okay, if that's what you want. I was like jokingly, I said, sir, you know what? This book is of so importance and value that somebody should drop off from the sky and come down with Indian tricolors on them. They should they should jump from 40,000 feet and fly down, which we should be able to see from here. And they'll drop down on the coastline, because this event is happening on the beach. They'll drop down on the beach. They'll come down to Modi, and then they'll present this book, which he'll open and deliver, and he'll release to the world. And everybody kept quiet, and I was like, see, I'm creative. And I thought it's a joke. And I couldn't expect this, but it's even a wonderful idea. Let's do it. I was like, what? You're going to do this? I was just kidding. And then he was
But
like,
they had no.
Come again?
They had they had the chopper and.
Yes, they
But
pulled it off.
accept the idea is a difficult thing.
Because I really thought it's a crazy idea. I still thought it's crazy. But the Navy was able to pull something off like this to the dot. To the dot. There was actually a guy who dropped down from the sky with a book. I was scared. I mean, I was like, whoa, what if there was no wind? What if my idea backfires if something happens? But they were able to do it without a sweat, I guess. A person dropped down. He walked down to the president, prime minister, and presented him the book, and he opened it. It was picture perfect. It was something very, very astonishing for me, for a guy even who thought of this idea. But hats off to the Navy to pull this off.
So what does that leave you in terms of with memories? How do you count this as your achievement?
For a guy who works out of Coimbatore, a town based in Tamil Nadu, and able to get a book released by the Prime Minister is something once in a lifetime, maybe. The better half, the best thing that happened to me after that was I recently did a book in 2019, again for the Navy, which was released by the President. So I have done 3 books for the The first book was released by the Chief of Naval Staff, the second book by the Prime Minister, and the third book called Evolution of Indian Naval Academy by the President. So for me, so probably you will do of the third book as well, because that had a lot of research process as well, a lot of fond memories there. But for me, the overall experience of trying to do a project of this magnitude, I was 30 years old when I started that project, and I was 32 by the time it was done. It was almost 2 years of my life that I had to invest in it to make things, abound and get things successful. So writing those chapters, understanding the history, working with an amazing team, of course, but importantly, the insight this book came to me is what the insight everybody around should also observe. We try to keep it more factual. We kept the heritage part as heritage, the history part as history, the folklore as folklore. We didn't mix and match anything. We just wanted to put a good, clean book and let it for the people to decide. And one of the important things that we did was this book, because it's going to be released by the Prime Minister, it had to be vetted. It had to be vetted by experts who are not both, they're the left, right, and the center. So to come up with the content wherein both the left, right, and the center agrees is not something that is easy. From point that there were Gujaratis who were part of this project in Java and Sumatra, who traveled from here and built a Buddhist temple there, was conflict of interest for a lot of people. The very fact that when Vasco da Gama came down to India through the sea, there was a Gujarati again who was the person who actually gave him the route, was also a conflict of interest there. When we spoke about the Chola, in fact, it was a centenary year, the millennial year of the coronation of Rajendra Chola, who the person who ignited the cotton route from India to the rest of the world. Even that had its own, conflict of interest points in it. So to put together, and these are not any historians. We are talking about the who's who. I'm talking about Himanshu Prabhare, the person who are consulted with regards to Ayodhya issue. These are the people who are there sitting in this project as well. Eventually, we were able to get blessings from everyone. They did understand, okay, this is written in a common way. it is not cited. Thanks to the writers who are able to rewrite most of the things the third time before the book was finally given for approval.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It was a great experience for me also. And Anand, thanks for sharing your experience. I think some portion of it I am also reliving, and some portion I am hearing again. And I'm sure that we will be able to do some projects together in the future. And thanks for creating such a memorable coffee table book for the Navy, and sharing your experiences on behalf
Thank
of
you.
the literature channel. We thank you for taking time out and reliving those memories.
Perfect. And looking forward to work with you again. Definitely, we'll do it anytime, sometime soon. And all the best to your channel. Great job of trying to do this. This effort is completely worthwhile. It'll definitely help the projects like that. What we did, there'll be so many projects as well. We get some limelight through your channel. So wish you the
Sure.
best and do great.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks. Yeah. Take care. Cheers.